We're spending 22 minutes today with the Bacon Brothers, sponsored by Hint. Thank you both so much for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Considering you have a gig right here in the neighborhood, City Winery tonight, right?
Yeah, tonight and tomorrow night.
Yeah. What's it like playing there?
Well, it's kind of a throwback to kind of old, folk clubs like the Bottom Line, that sort of thing. And it's they now have several throughout the country. So we play the one in Nashville and Chicago, so you sort of get used to their style. And it's a very well-run club and very musician-friendly.
Right.
Because there's good food and good wine in the dressing room, so the band is very happy.
So you guys are loose by the time you get up on stage.
We're always loose.
Is it a very intimate setting? I mean, are the people like very, very close to you as you're performing?
Totally, yeah.
What's that like?
It's fun. One of the things that's kind of fun about being in the band is we play all different kinds of situations. We've played. Not that we've booked ourselves, but we've opened for bands in stadiums, and then we've done really, really tiny little clubs like this. We've done sort of rowdy bar situations, theaters, so they're all just fun. I mean, what we really try to focus on, I think, is the music and having the show be the best show possible. And if it's intimate and people connect with it and you connect with them, that's a bonus.
Yeah, you do hear from rock stars sometimes when they start playing the arenas, and they say that they miss the intimacy of the small clubs, and then every so often they'll pop up in a small club just to, I guess, have that experience again.
I hope we get an opportunity to miss the small clubs in the table of an arena someday.
Exactly.
Now, what about you, Kevin? Nice. Do people in a small setting like that, do people shout out movie lines, or they do? What do? Do you heckle them back, or?
I have a couple of things I say. People will shout out "Footloose." That's like a pretty standard thing. Right. And I say, we're actually going to play the theme songs from every single film I've been in tonight. And
sit tight, people.
Sit tight. We're playing them all.
I find the audience usually, if there's somebody who's a little inappropriate, the audience usually takes care of that themselves.
They get rid of them.
Well, they just say shut up and don't be an idiot, and it doesn't end up being a problem.
Yeah, they came there to hear you play. So
exactly.
If somebody didn't know your music at all, never heard it, how would you describe it?
Well, Kevin made up a new category 23 years ago when we formed the band.
Not that new.
We called it, that's right. It's a unique category since we're the only band in the category of Foro Soco.
Right. Oh, that's how you say it.
Foro Soco.
That was the name of an album, right?
And we wanted, it was a marketing tool to name an album a completely unpronounceable word. And we've heard all kinds of Foro Soco, Forosco, and anyway, it stands for Folk Rock Soul Country. And it actually works pretty well because we write all of our own songs, and the songs that Kevin writes are very different than the songs that I write, and it's all original music. So I think if we have a philosophy, it is let the song determine the arrangement. I think a lot of bands kind of get together, we're going to be a thrash band, or we're going to be a punk band, or whatever. But we sort of go all over the place, and we're surrounded by 4 amazing musicians who allow us the luxury of doing that. So
they've been with you guys, like, for the duration?
They have,
pretty
much, yeah. I mean, our bass player played with us from the very beginning, and it was a 4-piece. It was a percussionist, and me and Mike on acoustic guitars, and he was playing bass and singing background vocals. The drummer played on our first record, and then it just kind of expanded a little bit more from that. Now we have a keyboard player and electric guitar and bass and drums, but we also pass off instruments, so everybody plays a bunch of different things in the course of the evening, which is kind of fun. We move around, and the stage kind of looks like a music store because there's so many different kind of like instruments all over the place. And Mike plays cello, and we play ukuleles. There's mandolins, there's harmonica, percussion, all kinds of stuff.
And which of those instruments can you play?
I can't play any of them well.
Is it a guitar as prop, or
yes, it's not plugged in.
You play guitar.
No, I play guitar. I play harmonica, and I play percussion.
Okay. And Michael?
Electric guitar, acoustic guitar, and cello.
Cello. Yeah. Wow, interesting. Yeah.
And ukulele.
And ukulele. That's right. Oh my God.
We're all ukulele players.
And the writing, it sounds like you write separately, and then maybe do you go to each other with the song, sort of like Lennon
Well, what's
McCartney
happened-
style? Like, oh, could you make this a little bit better?
Not so much. We don't really sit down in the same room. I assume Lennon and McCartney probably did. And I was that kind of a songwriter for years. I was a staff songwriter in Nashville for about 8 years. But our style is a little bit different from that. And once Kevin got his skills up to a professional level, he really didn't need me to help him arrange the songs, figure out the chords and produce it and that sort of thing. So I think what's sort of happening now is well, first of all, the process goes, we write the song. If we like it enough, we play it for our respective wives. And if that goes well, then we play it for each other. And if that goes well, then we play it for the band. And we usually rehearse it at a sound check. And this band, they can learn something at sound check at 4:30 in the afternoon and play it that night perfectly. Wow. So then you get the chance to see this little thing you've hatched and nurtured and brought out, and to see how people in an audience likes it. And that's kind of, you start to learn a lot about, including it's not that good a song, you know. So we kind of use the audience as a way to get the arrangements happening, and we spend a lot of time helping each other with arrangements of the songs. And once Kevin and I have kind of gone through them, when the band comes in, it's really interesting to see what they bring to it. And they're all guys that have been around so long. They've done every possible kind of music, and they have all these crazy takes on what they think it should be. And sometimes it's a little bit, you know, we're sort of ruffling each other's feathers, but overall, I don't think we've ever gone through that process and not come out with a song we're really proud of.
How'd you guys, were you 6 kids growing up?
Yeah.
So how was that? Were you two particularly close, or were you like competing for the audience in the household, or how did this musical collaboration come out of your family?
Well, I'm the youngest, and there was a pretty big age gap between me and my next oldest sister. So there was kind of like one, it wasn't like there was one family, which was the 5 of them, and they were all like 2 or 3 years apart, basically. And then when I was a kid, a lot of my brothers and sisters were sort of like visiting aunts and uncles in a way, because the house was, they all moved out by the time they were 16, and so by the time I was 8 or 10, everybody was gone. But we lived in a house where our family, our parents were really, really pro creativity. Like anything that you could make or draw, any kind of play you could put on, if you could pick up an instrument. So there was always music, and even as a really young child, since my brother was playing when he was so young, and my sister was playing with him as well in bands, I heard the music, I heard him writing songs. Music was like a big part of our lives. So if your older brother does something, you know, you kind of want to do it too, you know, whether it's, you know, play baseball or whatever it is. And so I started to write songs. I would have these melodies and lyrics in my head, and then I would sing them to him, and he would figure out what they were going to sound like on a guitar. So that was before I played the guitar. Wow. And that was really our first kind of collaboration. And then, you know, through the years, we just kept sort of getting back together and writing every once in a while.
So this wasn't like, I'm an actor, and now I think I want to branch out and be in a rock band. It almost sounds like music was your first passion, fair to say? Or?
You know, I think that I loved being an actor even before I knew what an actor was, because I always liked to come into a room and sort of be the center of attention. You know, that was like that was like something that I just knew.
Obnoxious.
I just really wanted to have that. You know, I'm like a show off. I'm like a ham. You know, and my mother was the one that kind of guided me towards that as a career. She said, "Okay, you know, you're trying so hard to be the center of attention. Maybe there's something you can actually make a career out of.
Bring some money home to the family."
Exactly. Whereas my brother she was very influential in terms of him playing the cello, being a classical musician, you know, practicing, and you know, being in the orchestra and all that kind of stuff. Right. But I did grow up adoring music, both as a you know, writing it, but also seeing him play in bands, be a solo performer. You know, when I was very young, I would go to a show that he would be playing at a club in Philadelphia, and you know, this gorgeous guy with, you know, curly hair and these big eyes, and the girls are just like, and he's singing these sensitive folk songs, and I was like,
Do go on.
they were just dying over him, and I was like, that looks good, man. I gotta get a little piece of that.
Yeah. Well, you're also well, songwriter in Nashville, as you said, and you score a lot of
Yeah, my day
score
job
for
is,
the movies.
yes,
I'm trying
movies
to
and
say.
television shows, and I've been doing
Emmy
that.
winner.
Yes, yes, for a show called The Kennedys, which was a PBS show many years ago. So that's my day job, and I'm freelance. And phone rings, and someone says I have a documentary or a, you know, an independent feature or whatever. We're looking for a composer, and you compete. And if you get the job, then you go through that process, and it's a really difficult process. But because, as Kevin touched on, because of my upbringing, I really had this, it's like a source that I can turn off and on, and it's always been there. And I really believe it was kind of implanted by our household at a very early age because of the eclectic nature of the kind of music our parents listened to. You know, the folk music, rock music, jazz, Broadway, a lot of classical, world music all over the place. So that's a real gift that our parents gave me. However, songwriting is a very different kind of a thing where we've been writing songs for, I don't even want to know how long it is. I want to forget. But what that mood is, what that situation is, what that happened to you an hour ago that brings out a song we've never figured out. And I don't think we ever will. But these songs are much more difficult to come upon. And when I was a staff songwriter in Nashville, the process was you would go you'd make a date with one of your friends, and you'd start drinking coffee at 10 o'clock, and you would start thinking of song titles. Old Flames Can't Hold a Candle to You, and you go, that's a good title. And you'd, actually a friend of mine did write that song, so I'm sort of stealing it from her. That's what you would do. And you really had no personal connection to the song. Your personal connection was you were trying to get it recorded by a famous
or necessarily
artist.
with your collaborator at that point, right? They want you to crank stuff out.
You want to crank stuff out, and every morning there was a writers' meeting where 10 or 12 writers, we'd have a list of all the people recording that week, Dolly Parton or Johnny Cash, and looking for up-tempo pop country crossovers. And you'd say, oh, here's a song for that, and they'd make a tape and send it over to the producer, and that was the songwriting business in Nashville, and it's pretty much hasn't changed that much.
Yeah. Got to ask you a couple quick questions about the movie biz, and your new Netflix venture, the show.
Do I have something on Netflix?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't.
No.
You mean Amazon?
Amazon.
Oh, I Love Dick?
I'm so sorry.
No, that's
Amazon.
okay. No, it's okay.
I'm always asking my kids, what is this on? Is this on Hulu or is this on Netflix? Yes, I haven't watched it yet, but it's getting some great reviews.
It's a cool show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool show.
And you're sort of the muse for a...
I am. I'm like the muse
an
for
artist.
I'm an artist, and this couple comes to this small town, and their mutual, it's weird, their mutual passion for me reignites their relationship.
Right. Now, did it used to be that if your agent came to you with TV roles, you'd be like, no,
Yes.
thank
Yeah.
you?
In fact, I would fire the agent. This is absolutely true. If an agent came to me and said, well, yeah, I know you don't want to do TV, but here's it. Because to me, it's hard to imagine now when we look at how remarkably the business has changed in terms of television's impact. Even in the last 5 or 10 years, you know, it's been really short. There was a time when that was a vote of no confidence in my career, if somebody said you should be on a TV show.
Right.
And so I was very resistant to it. Yeah.
Right. Have you guys worked together where you would work on the score of a movie and Kevin was the star? Is that something that's happened, or?
Twice, when Kevin was directing a film called Loverboy.
I wasn't the star, but I was in it.
Okay.
And I directed it.
Yeah, and Losing Chase.
And Losing Chase, yeah. Two films that I directed that Michael scored.
Something that's going to happen again?
Maybe.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, hope so.
How are you guys able to get along so well over all these years? You know, the joke has got like the Gallagher brothers and the Beach Boys and the, you
Yep,
know, a lot
yeah.
of musicians don't always, family members don't always get along so well. What is it about the chemistry between you guys that you
Well, I'm
can-
kind of a prince and really easy to get along with. Kind of annoying people, so I can get along with it.
He's very forgiving of how annoying I am. I don't
Well,
know.
actually, it's really, all those examples were, to me, were brothers that were very close in age, and they started wrestling and competing and fighting, and we're 9 years apart, so we never had that kind of relationship, and we still don't. And I think that any of the you know, the ways that we get on each other's nerves when we're, you know, on a bus for 3 weeks, sort of gets overshadowed by the fact that I have enormous respect for Kevin's musical ability and songwriting ability, and I think he does for mine as well. And also, there's a sense of trust of being in a business, which this is. You know, we have 4 guys in the band plus 3 or 4 people on the crew, and we have an agent, we have a manager, we have our lovely publicist Patty, who's here today. So it's a lot that we have to do to keep this business going. And if you don't have that sort of very fundamental level of trust, it would be difficult
Yeah,
to do.
yeah. Some musical moments as a band. I read that you guys actually opened for the band
We did, yeah.
at Carnegie Hall.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. First
Oh
off,
my gosh.
amazing because we love the band.
Yeah.
Both of us, you know, I mean, we don't always agree on other people's music, you know. I mean, but that's one that we definitely agree on. And you know, if you could think of another band that would be Foro Soko that we've spoken about, the band would be the first example that we would ever think of.
Yeah.
And it was just their opening artist had laryngitis or something like that, and literally it was like 24 hours before the gig. We got a call completely out of the blue. I had worked with Levon as an actor, but I don't think it had anything to do with that. I think it was just a weird coincidence. Our bass player happened to be on vacation and couldn't get back from the Caribbean. So we were going to do it as a 3-piece, which was just 2 acoustic guitars and no background vocals and a percussionist. And even that, we were kind of like, we were really going to do this in Carnegie Hall. And I was kind of like, this sounds like a disaster. Bottom line is that, you know, it's an experience that we will never forget. Not only did we get to play at Carnegie Hall, not only did we get to open for the band, but they also asked us out on stage for the encore to do Willie and the Hand Jive, and it was pretty cool.
That's great. And you have a funny story, Michael, on the website, you do anyway, about a gig that didn't go so well.
Oh, yeah. A funny, I don't know, I would consider that sort of a... Well,
Awkward
tragic.
story,
when
maybe.
we were talking about our career and stuff, when we first started the band, I drove, I figured out the eating, I set up whatever equipment we have, I collected the meager amount of dollars that they would give us for performing. It was a very small kind of thing. And out of the blue, we got this offer to go out to LA and play for Elizabeth Taylor's 65th birthday party that was going to be broadcast throughout the world. That somebody told me 1 billion people were going to see it. And Michael Jackson was there, and they paired us with a new up-and-coming country singer named Martina McBride. And we had a rehearsal with her. She sang background on one of Kevin's songs, and it was great. I mean, we just got along so well with her. She's an awesome person, a wonderful singer. And so come the night, of course, I don't have any way, the guitars are plugged in, I don't have any gear to shut them off. They're on or they're off. Now we have all sorts of stuff like that, and people to set them off. But I heard Kevin lightly strum his 12-string guitar, which is pretty much of a bear to tune in the first place, and even when it's in tune. But somehow it had gotten completely out of tune, and all of Hollywood in tuxedos and gowns and stuff were out there, and I heard him strum, and I said, oh no, this is going to crash really badly. And we just kind of did it, and we got through it, and the next day I went in and punched in some stuff on the multi-track, but we really felt very bad about it. We felt very bad for Martina because she was kind of, you know, this would be opportunity for her to shine, and nobody shone for us that night. So I wrote a song about it, and that's all that counts.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
That's our
And she
theory.
did okay.
Yeah.
Something goes wrong, write a song.
Yeah.
That's a good philosophy.
Yeah.
So aside from Amazon's I Love Dick, any new movies on the horizon?
The next thing I'm doing is a pilot for a series on Sci-Fi which is Tremors.
Tremors.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exciting. Exciting. And you guys are both New Yorkers, right? I mean, you both. So you walk down the street.
I walked down the street, took the subway down here today.
Do people? Can you walk around New York unmolested, or do people?
I can walk around New York.
You can.
Unmolested.
Not so much.
Yeah,
Do you have to avoid Midtown, maybe?
You got it. Have more. You got it. That's exactly the difference. Down here, Upper West Side, no problem. But Midtown is more difficult.
What's the most annoying thing a tourist or somebody else might scream out?
I'm going to go with the positive and tell you the coolest thing that literally happened to me today. I stopped at this place that I'd never stopped before, like a coffee / smoothie shop. I was just trying to kill time before I was going to go to the gym, and this young woman, comes up to me and says, "I don't want to bother you, but I just came from Australia to see your show tomorrow night."
Wow.
Literally in all of New York.
Wow.
I like her.
Yeah, you're gonna meet her. Trust me.
Good.
And she didn't want anything. She didn't want a picture. I said, "Why don't you give me your name? You can come backstage after the show." And she said, and meet the band. She said, "That's okay. I already signed up for the meet and greet." And
cool.
She's never been in New York before. Came by herself.
Wow.
I was stunned.
That is a long way. And
Melbourne.
That's a heck of a
That is a long
coincidence.
way.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Wow. That's great. That's great. So City Winery tonight, tomorrow night, and then Ridgefield, Connecticut, and then points north, New England.
Beverly, Mass, and something New Hampshire.
Portsmouth.
No, it's not. It's something like Portsmouth, but it's
Okay, Port
anybody
Jones?
remember? Plymouth, Massachusetts.
Okay.
No, Plymouth, New Hampshire.
Plymouth, New Hampshire.
Can get all the information on the
Yes,
website, right?
yeah.
Website
Obviously,
very
we don't know what
informative.
we're talking about. So.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you have a great gig here
Thanks so
in
much.
the
Thanks
for
city. Thank you
having
so
us.
much for coming in.
Thanks for
An
having
honor
us.
to be on 1010 Wins.
That's
Kidding?
right.
I love it.
Thanks.